Hi, and welcome to another video in which, again, I'm going to talk about the harassment that I've been receiving, um, particularly leaving messages on my voicemail, also the use of the police to try to deter me from continuing to do these videos. So prior to me uh, starting this video, a lot of police sirens, again, because exposing what it is that they're doing is something that they don't want happen. Okay, these individuals within the high ups of the government, those within law enforcement who participate in this, within the psychiatric institution, who experiment on people, those within the government who experiment on individuals. Lately, not just lately, but you know, trying to call me a rat for exposing what it is that they're doing. All right. Well, I guess I'll be the biggest rat. Okay. Because understanding what's going on, understanding the truth is key. And it's important that we, not just as TIs, but as a black person, that we as black people understand the true nature of who is behind, of what's going on and who is behind this. All right. So last night, again, I received numerous phone calls. This is after 12 30 at night, and just going to play for you guys so you guys can see. These are all unknown. Let's see if we can get this thing focus. Get it to focus a bit. Let's try it this way. Okay, here we go. And that's just a green screen effect. All unknown calls from 12:35 all the way up to 12:39. I'm going to play the first one. Um, okay, yeah, so I have my earbuds connected. Let's disconnect that. Okay, now let's do it again. Now, okay, you guys hear the sirens in the background? Okay, let's go to the next message. You is a lazy bastard. You just looking to get out the easy way. Well, I got. Okay, looking to get out. I don't even know what the hell. Am I looking to get this program? Of course, anybody would be looking to get this program. Being experimented on, you think that's fun, right? Being harassed every day, you think that's fun? Okay, let's go. The next one. And then sneezing. Okay. Uh, if anybody watch my video have any doubt of what is happening, particularly to me as a TI, and not just to me but others as well, then you're willfully ignorant, or you're a participant in our targeting. All right, and ignoring it when your family member is going through these kind of traumas, being put into this type of experimental program, and you're ignoring it, it says more about you than it does about them. Okay. With that being said, let's move on. Um, Particularly, since I've been a target and been exposing this, really, they've been coming after me really, really hard. Using, like, threatening my kids, using their mother, my youngest two using their mother, my oldest I don't even speak to her, his mother, but using my two youngest, their mother Pam, to target me. And for example, she called me today, but right before she called, there was the sound of police sirens. And I'm just like, okay. She called me, um, talking about how tired she was, what have you. And then, after we hang up the phone, that was followed afterwards by more police sirens. Okay, so again, but anyway, so there are times when I used to walk home, and because I was doing my internet talk show on TalkShoe, and they would write on the sidewalk, particularly they knew my routes, and they would write rat, um, mold, those and that sort of thing. And so, I was thinking about this. I said, okay, you know what? I need to do another video on this. Okay, and I'll show you guys how government agencies within, whether it be the CIA, the FBI, police department, how they retaliate against people who expose their wrongdoings. Okay, so I want you guys to listen to this video. This is Edward Snowden, and then I'm going to read the article.
Everybody wants to believe there's like a cinematic moment. You find this golden document that changes everything. But even though I felt that I had to do something, I didn't want to do something, because everybody who works in these organizations, particularly in the national security space, they know what happens to people who speak up. Telling the truth meant, I would probably never be able to come home again. Whistleblowers are naturally problematic. The differences between them and the average person are what made it possible for them to shoulder these incredible risks. They see the circumstance differently, because whistleblowers, by their very nature, are weirds, right? They do something that everybody else in that system didn't do.
Well, I wouldn't call myself a weirdo.
In the case of this most recent controversy, this person went through all the proper channels, as far as we understand it, to the best of their ability, and truly and honestly tried to stay within the system. If we pressured the government to abide by the rules itself has made, or at least by the spirit of them, this person will be protected from the kind of retaliation that so many others have faced before them. If the system can't protect this person, the system can't protect anyone. The law can only evaluate what is legal and illegal, not what is moral and immoral. That latter question, which is oftentimes the more important question, is one that has to be answered by us, by the public, by the papers, because we are the ones who have to live with the consequences. Piercing that veil is always going to be a risky activity, and there's always going to be costs that are involved in that. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it.
Okay, so this article is called "The Price of Whistleblowing." All right, and it's not just for employees of the government or researchers who may dig up articles, or people, looking, understanding there's something going on, and looking to find the truth, but it's also the individuals who have been placed into non-consensual human experimentation. And not just that, but it's also individuals who fight for the rights of people, whether they be white, black, particularly in America. How many people realize that over the past few years, since the Michael Brown incident, in which Michael Brown was killed by a white racist police officer, there have been 5 deaths of young civil rights activists? It was in the news, didn't get a lot of traction, and they fade away into the distant memory and past. And this was not that long ago. Okay? So a lot of people paid prices with their lives, with their with their debts, with the destruction of their family, the loss of any sort of financial restitution. And so we as TIs, those of us who decide to speak out, we in the matter of, is in fact are whistleblowers. At least I would like to think of myself as a whistleblower, because for the simple fact that the perpetrators of these programs don't want to be exposed. And when you expose them, they will do whatever they can to destroy your life, though they will do it anyway. The difference is when they silence you, they are getting away with what it is that they're doing to you. When you speak up, you bring attention. Not everybody's going to listen, but there are those people who are going to listen because they understand that this is America. These things happen. Though America may try to act as if this doesn't happen within its own borders, in its own states, in its own cities, town, municipalities, it does. And institutions, whether it be public or private, but it does. And it is promoted by the state, by the federal government. And we are looking at the mass brainwashing of societies, straight out of the Nazis' playbook. Okay, so let me read the article. Whistleblowers from some of the nation's highest profile cases have faced personal threats and consequences for their actions, but they're still urging others to expose wrongdoing despite the risk. Why it matters? In an interview with Axios on HBO, 5 of the best known whistleblowers open up about the threats they face and the life changing personal sacrifices they made: the isolation, the threat of physical harm, even the end of a marriage. The whistleblowers, here I said marriage, you hear the car honking. Okay, so this is what they do: actively listen to what I'm saying, and when it comes to certain words, they will confirmation with car honking. This happens all throughout the day. Okay, and sometimes I don't have to be reading out loud because of the remote neural monitoring. They monitor your thoughts because of the microchip, and so if you're reading certain things within your mind, certain words that you read, you will hear a car honk or a police siren, and it's usually, like I said, it's a very short whoop or whoop whoop, and that's it. Okay, so uh, Daniel Ellsberg, who leaked the Pentagon Papers; Edward Snowden, former National Security Agency subcontractor; Jeffrey Wigan, tobacco industry whistleblower; Sharon Watkins; Enron whistleblower; Frank Serpico, former New York City police officer who fought police corruption. Their stories are especially timely now that the whistleblower who disclosed President Trump's Ukraine phone call is under fire, with Trump and some Republican allies calling for the whistleblower's identity to be exposed. So we know that there is a federal law that protects whistleblowers called the whistleblower law, whereas if you expose government corruption, you will be protected. But this is not what's been happening. And the reason why, it is to discourage other people from exposing corruption and wrongdoing within the government. That if they do, their life will be destroyed. And this is a country that prides itself on freedom and being democratic above all, and being morally superior to every other nation. Okay? So, like the Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy approached and peeled back that curtain, she saw it wasn't the wizard. Okay? But the manipulation of our minds is what they are good at. the creation of technology to manipulate our minds is what they use. So, courageous is contagious, says Ellsberg. We need more whistleblower, not fewer, many more. Whistleblowers, by their very nature, are weirdos, right? They do something that everybody else in the system didn't do, said Snowden, who leaked details of the NSA surveillance program and now lives in Russia. Okay, I talked about how I have another YouTube channel that's dedicated to exposing how the US government, the federal government, have systematically destroyed the lives of black people. Who they have destroyed destroy the black family, and in doing so, prevent black people from unifying and having economic power, okay, and as well as political power. So the price past whistleblowers paid after they become public was sometimes devastating. Wingard, who exposed the tobacco industry disregarded the danger of smoking in the 1990s, had to have armed security because the death threats to his family included a bullet placed in his mailbox that he said was meant for his daughters, not him. The stress and the constant danger led to his wife to leave him. His wife says that I am a hazard to the children in the house, wants me out of the house, and that she wants a divorce. And wow. Ellsberg faced 150 years in prison. The charges were dropped. And Watkins, who sounded the alarm on the Enron accounting scandal in 2001, spoke of the isolation and the loneliness and the loss of certainty as to what your direction is. But in their view, they were serving a higher purpose, and that was worth the personal sacrifice. I am no longer just as guilty as those in April 1994 that swore under oath that nicotine wasn't addictive. I am no longer a bystander, Greengrand said. People will take from your example the courage to tell the truth, said Ellsberg. They sent a clear message to current whistleblowers, including the Ukraine whistleblower. Through the interviews, you are not alone. There are people out there that have been through the same thing, understanding what you're going through and will support you, said Serpico. But the Ukraine whistleblower, who supposed to be protected from retaliation under federal law, is facing daily threats of being identified against their will, which could expose them to personal danger. If the system cannot protect this person, the system cannot protect anyone, said Snowden. Snowden's case was more complicated. The Obama administration didn't consider him a whistleblower, arguing that he didn't raise his concern through the legal process that had been established. But he says moral concerns do serve a higher purpose. Now, when you look at the past whistleblower and what have been done to them, why would he go to the proper channel? Okay, they would have just shut him down because they have shown that they cannot be trusted. This government have shown that they cannot be trusted, they cannot be believed, and we have to second guess everything that they say. But yet, people don't do that. Yet, people continue to believe words that come out of politicians' mouth that don't hold water to their action. Okay? So the law can only evaluate what is legal and illegal, not what is moral and immoral. That not there. Hear the planes, the low flying planes. Okay. Um, this is an all day thing sometimes. Okay. And sometimes they'll bring it also after that the helicopters. So let's see. The latter question, which is oftentimes the more important question, is one that has to be answered by us, by the public, by the papers, because we are the ones who, I said public, call right, not call honking, sorry, again, these words is like because they have gotten the public to turn against me, to participate in my targeting. That's why, when I talk about certain keywords, this is what I talk about. All right, by the papers, because we are the ones who have to live with the consequences, Snowden said. Piercing the veil is always going to be a risky activity, and there are always going to be costs that are involved in that. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it. Okay, so um, again, I refuse to remain silent. I refuse to continue uh, to feel like to feel afraid, to feel like because again the access that they have of my environment, my mind through the microchip, you know, uh, and just continue to be uh, you know worrying about the use of my kids and how they've threatened them, and understanding that there is a bigger purpose here. Okay, I understand that by exposing this, hopefully enough people will understand and realize the true nature, and so this doesn't happen again. So in the future, we'll save not just my children, but your children, their grandchildren, or what have you. Okay, because there's bigger things at play here, and if you do the research, you will understand those things. Which is again, as a black person, okay, it is going to be leading us back into slavery with these technologies. Okay, that's what it would be about, leading our children and their children and their children's children back into slavery, being happy, being content with oppression. Okay, and the fact that the FBI, the CIA, is heavily monitoring the communities in which black people live in, and have been targeting us since birth. Okay, I talk about the Nixon administration, you know, saying that one of his advisors who came out in his past couple of recent years saying that the Nixon administration, yeah, they created a war on black people. Okay, they created a war on black people, and where did they get the drugs from? From the CIA, right? I mean, so come on, we really gotta think. We really gotta be a more awoken people, a more concerned people, because these people are playing by a different rule. They're not playing by the same rule they have for you and I. The rules that they have for you and I doesn't apply to them. No rules apply for them because you know why? They make the rules. Okay? So why should they be held accountable for the rules that they make? In their eyes, they're gods. Right? Controlling and manipulating us on a daily basis. This is why they create these technologies. This is why they call V2K the voice of God. Then they moved on to silent sound spread spectrum, which truly gave them the ability to manipulate people without anyone understanding or recognizing what is happening. All right, Dark NLP. Let's talk about Dan Jones in his book, Mind Control Language Pattern. He talks about there are people, many people, particularly us as black people, who go through life with a negative mindset, and it is because we have been manipulated and have been conditioned into having those mindsets. And I don't care how positive you think you are as a black person, but that's just one aspect. Okay. So anyway, um, let's move on to the next because I got quite a few things to talk about. All right, let's talk about, okay, so the rape of the mind, right? The psychology of thought control, menticide, and brainwashing. Dr. Juice AM Melo. And I am going to go to, let's get to, here. Let's go through, what is the location? Again, I believe is location, sorry, 188, I believe. Okay. Okay. 188. Page location. Location. Oops. Okay. Trying to find the location I had. I thought it was 188. Oh, I did bookmark it. Oh, 886. Okay. My mistake. Okay. All right, 886. So again, people would like, well, not people, but those in power would like you to believe that these things are new. Okay? But my job is to help you to understand that these things are not new. These things have been kept away from you and I so that we will think that these things are new. Meanwhile, the CIA, the Department of Defense, these security agencies have access to historical documents, historical evidence, and all sorts of things that we and I are not privy to, right? These are what they call esoteric knowledge or esoteric information. It is hidden from you, right? Hidden from the mind. Okay? So let me read this on hypnotism and mental coercion. From time immemorial, from time immemorial, those who wanted to know the inner workings of the other fellow's mind. Let's get back to. Okay. Let me fix this. Okay, let's go back to here. If I continue. Okay, so there. All right, from time immemorial, those who wanted to know the inner workings of the other fellow's mind in order to exert pressure on him have used artificial means to find a hidden pathway to his most private thoughts. Modern brainwashers, too, have tried all kinds of drugs to arrive at their devious objective. The primitive medicine man had several methods of compelling his victim to lose self control and reserve. Alcoholic drinks, toxic ointment, or permanently holy smoke, which had a narcotizing effect, as used by the Mayas, for example, were used to bring people into such a state of rapture that they lost their self awareness and restraint. The victims murmuring sacred words often revealed their self accusing fantasies or even their deepest secrets. In the Middle Ages, so called witch ointments were used either voluntarily or under pressure These ointments were supposed to bring the anointed into touch with the devil, since they contain opiates and belladonnas in large quantities, which could have been absorbed by the skin. Modern science can explain the static visions they evoke as the typical hallucination provoking effect of these drugs. One of the first useful techniques medicine delivered into the hands of the peer into souls was the knowledge of hypnosis, which intensify mental suggestions that make people give up their own will and brings them into a strange dependency on the hypnotizer. The Egyptian doctors of 3,000 years ago knew the technique of hypnosis, and ancient records tell us that they practice it. There are many quacks who practice hypnosis, not to cure their victims, but to force them into submission using the victim's unconscious ties and dependencies needed in a criminal profitable way. One of the most absorbent aspects of this whole problem of hypnosis is the problem of whether people can be forced to commit crimes such as murder or treason while under a hypnotic spell. Psychologists would deny that such thing could happen and would insist that no one can be compelled to do under hypnosis what he would refuse to do in a state of alert consciousness. But actually, what a person can be compelled to do depends on the degree of dependency that hypnosis causes and the frequency of repetition of the so called post hypnotic suggestion. Now, we know this is true because there was a case, and again, I'm gonna look for it. I have so many documents I gotta go through it. I can't remember exactly what document. It was a case in which a man was accused of murder, and under doctor's evaluation, realized that the man has been hypnotized, and they went and arrested the person who hypnotized that individual and charged him with the murder. Okay. Again, this is a documented case. It is in the declassified documents on the CIA website. I don't remember what documents it is, but I'm gonna find it, and in the next show, I will produce that document so you guys can see. All right, not also that, but if you look at Darren Brown, in which he was trying to find out, again, exposing the lies that if you can, that you can hypnotize someone to kill and assassinate another person, in which he proved it. I mean, the gun wasn't loaded with real bullets, but the person actually fired the shot, okay, at the person that they were conditioned to kill, to assassinate. Okay, so actually, hypnoanalyst teaches that there even exists several other devices to live other people's lives. True, no hypnotizer can take away a man's conscience and inner resistance immediately, but he can arouse a latent murderous wish, which may become active in his victim unconscious but continual suggestion and continual playing upon those deep repressed desire. Actual knowledge of methods used in brainwashing and mental science prove that all this can be done. Okay? So, let's continue. If the hypnotizer persists long enough and cleverly enough, he can be successful in his aim. There are many antisocial desires laden hidden in all people. The hypnotic techniques, if clever enough applied, can bring them to the surface and cause them to be act out in life. The mass criminality of the guards in concentration camps find part of its explanation in the hypnotizing influence of the totalitarian state and its criminal dictators. Uh, Psychological studies of criminals show that their first violation of moral and legal codes often take place under the strong influence and suggestions of other criminals. This we may look upon as an initial form of hypnosis, which is more intensified form of suggestions. Okay. True, the incitement to crime in a hypnotic state demands especially favorable condition, but unfortunately, these conditions can be found in the real and actual world. All right. So, excuse me. So, not just that we have to deal with, but again, people using psychological methods and tactics, psychological programming to manipulate other people. Some of these programming are hidden in plain sight. Dark NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. Okay, which I'm going to talk about. Okay, so let's move on to the next. So here is a document. It's called the Hidden Evil PDF. This is by Mark Rich. Okay, who um, became who realized uh, he was targeted. Okay, so let me try and go here. All right, so he wrote this in 2006, um, and this is just an 82-page excerpt out of his book, also called "The Hidden Evil," the financial elite covert war against the civilian population. And in it is this section called State Sponsored Terror Campaigns, the Hidden Evil. And again, this is pretty old. Mark Rich, who, because he exposed what was happening, he was driven to homelessness. Okay. All right. So let's continue. Okay. I am going to scroll down and talk about this is the preface, the introduction, tells you how to use it, what is its structure, the tactics, investigation, surveillance, spear campaign, thefts and break-in, framing, sabotage and vandalism, mail interference, pranks, all of which, most of which, I would say all of which, right, has been happened to me as well as others, TI as well as whistleblowers. These are, some of the same things. I talk about synchronization a lot. Okay, noise campaign, talk about right sensitivity program, which I called fixation drills, right? Harassment scripts and directed energy weapons. And why is it used? Revenge, whistleblowers, activists, dissidents, experimentation, others. Okay, so I just want to just read a couple of things here. All right, and let me keep going. You can find this online. Just Google the Hidden Evil PDF. So my targeted, I realized I was targeted overtly in 2002, but again, I have a twin brother. He was targeted in the mid 90s. So that just tell you how long this program has been about. And even before that, you had people in the late 80s complaining about this stuff. And so this goes back decades. This is nothing new, right? And so okay, so what made me started doing a lot of research into psychological conditioning was after reading this. Okay, and I remember going on to these talk shows about target individuals, and they would talk about the direct energy weapons and stuff like that, which is fine. We do need to understand that. But what we didn't realize, what a lot of TIs didn't realize at the time, was some of these direct energy weapons were created for mind control, were created to put thoughts and ideas into your head, right? And many people didn't realize this. But what made me realize this? One day I was walking through, I went to the hospital. I had to go see a therapist. And, it was like uh, the perpetrators of these technology and of these experiments, they love to, because again, of their sociopathic nature, the dog triad personalities. Um, as with any sociopath or psychopath, they like to torture their victims by letting them know exactly what they're going to do and what's being done and what's going to happen. And so I remember walking to this hospital, and there was a sign there, and it says behavioral. Uh, what was the exact word? Uh, Behavioral something, And every time I would go to see the therapist, for some reason, I would just stop, look up at this sign, right? And so I went home when it was a Sunday night, and I Googled it, right? And it came up behavioral control or something like that, or what have you. And then I found out about coercive persuasion programming. Then I found this um, article, and again, this is 2004, so I've probably well into 5 years of my targeting. Okay, probably 2 to 3 years before that, I didn't even recognize and understand. There were some things that was happening in my life that I didn't put two and two together. You know, for example, a girlfriend that I had at the time. This was like I think it was in 2000, no, 1999, and she came over to my house, and we was having a good time, and then she looked at me really, really strange, and she started crying. I'm just like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it. What have you?" I didn't even understand what was going on, But listening to other TIs, including my brother, telling me about certain things, I realized that hey, this has been happening for well before I became aware. Okay, and so I recognize the sensitivity tactics used by these groups from a neurolinguistic programming NLP seminar I took in my early 20s. This science is used to produce rapid change. Some of the sensitive tactics used by these groups are borderline subliminal attacks designed to artificially create phobias using anchors. Right? And again, because he found this at a site, Eleanor White website, raven1.net, which I used to go on a lot too. And I spent about 12 hours my first day moving between her sites and other gang stalking sites. Since then, I have been researching this phenomenon related subject with books, documentary, radio shows, articles, websites, and case studies. This report is a result of my research and my interpretation of my own direct experience with this phenomenon. And I would have to say, like, I follow in this individual, Mark Rich, footsteps, because I owe him a lot as a TI, because he had awakened my mind, and gave me enough information, and him also with another website I found. This website I don't think is up anymore, but it's another guy who was being targeted. He was being gang stalked, and he talked about how his uncle was an FBI agent, and he was telling his FBI agent uncle what was happening. He told him, he says, document everything. He says, document everything. He says, if something seems out of place, even the littlest strangest thing happened, document it. And so this is what that also is why I began to document my experience. I did also that, but to study, research, reading books, okay, doing the work, spending hours and hours on, even when I was working. I was so tired because I'd be up late at night reading books and stuff like that. And there are certain books that I would read, not just about target individuals, but books on the Black Panther, websites about the Black Panther party, and it was constant police sirens going on around me. Okay, and this is what also led me to believe that there is another aspect to this, particularly when it comes to me being a black person, and being a TI. Okay, so so the word occult, All right, of or pertaining to any system claiming use of knowledge of secrets or supernatural powers or agencies beyond ordinarily knowing or understanding. Secrecy disclosed or communicated only to the initiated. All right, we're going to talk about esoteric knowledge uh, and us as the public being kept away from certain information. Okay, even your low level perps, they don't fully understand what's going on. They think they do, right? They don't fully understand what's going on. And the reason why they can get people to target us the way they do is because they understand the human psyche. They understand how to manipulate, how to condition and brainwash people. They've learned a lot since bringing over 16, actually 1800 Nazi scientists, psychologists, sociologists, all these people working for who were part of the Nazi regime. Okay, and where did the Germans learn these things from? Like I said, many people don't realize and understand, right, that German advancement in technology came from Germany being in North Africa, particularly Egypt, and particularly that they and the Vatican, the information that the Vatican gave them also, because the Vatican was in line and cahoots with the Nazis. Okay, many people don't want to believe that, but that's true. The Roman Catholic Church was in line with the Nazis. Okay, and many of these churches in Europe hid a lot of these Nazis commander and Nazi soldiers, and that's the truth. This is what they don't want to talk about. I'll tell you about. That is the truth. Okay. As a matter of fact, there's a declassified document from the CIA that shows the connection between the Vatican and the Nazis. And if I can find it, I'll show you guys. So, learning about organized vigilante stalking is like downloading files that contain time-sensitive packets. So I ask that you temporarily suspend any conclusion until you've received the complete transmission. If you're a skeptic, but you have an open mind, you may be surprised to find that your disbelief is eventually replaced with shock and bewilderment. Okay? So, let's go here. There's one thing that I wanted to read. So, what is gang stalking? All right, here it is. What is it? Organized stalking is a well-organized occult form of covert harassment used against an individual. It is done by large groups of people who systematically and repeatedly harass individuals. The people who participate are usually under the impression that they need to keep an eye on the targeted person or drive them out of town for wrongdoing. It often encompasses the use of directed energy weapons, such as microwave harassment. This can be a for-hire organized harassment service. These groups operate throughout North America and Europe and exhibit cult-like characteristics, and I talk about that all the time. Okay, they usually have local members ranging in the hundreds, not in the hundreds, in the thousands. Okay, this has also been called cause stalking, gang stalking, community-based harassment, organized vigilante stalking, vengeance stalking, terrorist stalking, revenge stalking, covert action, state-sponsored harassment, microwave mind control, etc. All of these labels explain the same basic phenomenon. So when I refer to this type of state-sponsored harassment throughout this document, I will use the name interchangeably. Organized vigilante stalking is an occult form of terrorism mind control used against an individual in a malicious attempt to reduce the quality of a person's life so that they will have a nervous breakdown, which happened to me. Become incarcerated, institutionalized. They haven't done that yet. Experience constant mental, emotional, and physical pain, which they've done. Become homeless. They haven't done that yet, and they tried, or commit suicide. They've tried that many times, didn't work. It is done using well-orchestrated accusation, lies, rumors, bogus investigations, setups, framings, intimidation, overt or covert threats, vandalism, theft, sabotage, torture, humiliation, emotional terror, deals, and general harassment. It is a ganging up by members of the community who follow an organizer and participate in a systematic and ritualistic persecution of an individual. Organized stalking is a destructive criminal program built on deception that exists to serve the intention of a few who are aware of its true agenda. Okay? This hate crime appears to be a combination of early mind control and harassment programs such as COINTELPRO and MKUltra, as well as gang stalking tactics used by the KKK. The objective is to create so much pain in the environment of the person that they are driven to homelessness or suicide. It is used to isolate and remove economical and social support structures and therefore destabilize a person's life with the intent to drive them to suicide. Basically, it is forever. They never leave you alone. They will follow you out of the country, which has happened to me, and there's no way to get away from it. And this is why we have to expose it to the level where good people, right? And know that being good goes against human nature. Okay? And that's the truth. Being good goes against human nature. In every experiment in which they have used people, and this is consensual experiment now, in which they have used people. We talk about the Stanley Milgram experiment, okay, the Stanford prison experiment, right? And even though these experiments are repeated over and over again, it is the same result, right? Because those in the authoritative position who allow individuals, who regular citizens, to order them to do things that can kill, maim, harm a person irreparably, the majority will go along with it, as long as the uh, the responsibility of accountability is taken off of them by the state, or by those in power, or those in the authoritative position. Okay. Although it would appear that this is a new phenomenon, it is not. Many tyrannical regimes throughout history have used local harassment gangs to neutralize dissent. Gang stalking is simply another manifestation of this pattern. Although the strategies and tactics employed by these groups are somewhat new, the group exists to serve the same purpose. Okay? So, I am going to end this here. I'm not going to continue. I don't want to make this video too long. Okay? It's already about an hour. But again, people, you can find this document online. Like I said, just do a search for the Hidden Evil PDF, and you can also purchase Mark Rich book on Amazon. I believe it's still there. It's called The Hidden Evil again, but it's the financial elite covert war against the public, right? And so again, just I gotta because the more they push back is the more I'm going to push back. Okay, and I will continue to push back, and I'll continue to expose what's being done, because again, the public is being deceived. um, when you have individuals that are in power that want to neutralize someone, that are somebody who may be working for a government agency, who will use their power to seek revenge on someone for whatever reason, okay, or you have those that feel that they can experiment on you because of your color of your skin, because they don't see you as a human being, and when they can get others to to see you the same way, not as a human being, and to take away your humanity, right? It says more about them than you as a TI. So when they want to talk about, when they want to send subliminal message about you're a criminal, or you're this, or your dad, or what have you, it is not you they're talking about. It is themselves, and they are trying to turn you into who they are, right? Which is not good. Okay? So understand what's going on. Understand how these types of programs, because these people want to get away with experimentation, okay, and they found a new way to silence those people who are put into these non-consensual experimentation program. Why? Because they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to be, whether it be accountable whether it be financially, whether it be accountability in terms of um, being brought to justice, right? To even admit what they're doing is wrong, they want to continue to do this to people. And trust me, all throughout history, there have been experimentation done on people non-consensually, and they will tell you, well, particularly with slaves, who they would operate on the female slave without anesthesia, without anesthesias. Okay, giving black men STDs and pretending like they're treating them, giving black men radiation poison. Okay, and not just you had people in Guatemala who they did the same thing to, and who knows wherever else, in Africa, India, where you have some of the largest population of poor people, they have been ground zeros of many experimentation, many not just chemical but bacterial experimentation as well. Okay, viruses created by pharmaceutical companies, by the U.S. government and other uh, uh, Western government, and they will find some remote village and experiment on those individuals. And when they're done, they will destroy it and destroy those individuals. This is the world that we are living in, that we have been conditioned to ignore, to not think about. Even here in the United States, in our own suffering, we don't even think about it seriously enough to want to do something about it. I mean, seriously do something about it. And it's because, like I said, I've shown you the documents where they talk about these weapons and how they can turn them against their civilian population and get them to be content with their oppression, get them to forget about their oppression. Okay, and so um, there's a lot. There's a lot of information to um, to give, and I'll continue to give these information, through these videos, and really exposing these people. Because regardless of what happened to me, right, it is the fact that we have to take a stand. We cannot continue to allow this to happen, not just we as TIs, but the general public. Because guess what? Tomorrow it could be you, it could be your son, your daughter, your uncle, your brother, your niece, your nephew, your best friend. All right? So I just want you guys to think about that. Okay? So I will see you guys on let me okay, so anyway, like I said, I will see you guys on the next video. All right? And please, start thinking critically. Okay? And that's it. So I'll see you guys in the next video.